Hi, and welcome to video 2 in the series, Pump Up the Protein. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of getting enough protein every day, and we're going to figure out exactly how much that is and some simple ways to ensure that we're meeting that target. So the first thing that I want to say is that this advice is generalized. So if you have a special diet, a special condition, then be sure to consult with a medical professional that knows your history, knows your background, and can give you personalized advice that suits your needs. So everything I'm saying today, this is of a general nature. Do your own research and determine what works best for you. Now, last time we talked about the importance of protein and how it can help with energy, hormones, and getting rid of excess weight in midlife. It can help prevent cravings and so much more. Today, we're looking at, like I said, understanding how much we need and talking about some simple ways to ensure we're getting enough. Now, when we're talking about figuring out how much we need when it comes to protein, there are dietary guidelines. Depending on where you live, there's going to be different government and health agencies that put out recommendations. But you see, when it comes to protein, these recommendations are usually way off. In fact, in my opinion, these recommendations are usually way too low. And it's because what they're recommending you get for protein consumption is how much you require in order to prevent a deficiency. And that's a far cry from how much you need to perform optimally, to really thrive, especially as a woman in midlife and beyond. We need all the energy we can get in order to do all of those things that we're taking care of every day. But who doesn't want extra energy to feel better and do some things that we want and enjoy after all of the work is taken care of? I know that's a huge motivating factor for me personally in my never-ending, very busy to-do list. So how much protein do you actually need? Well, my recommendation is to aim for about 1 gram of protein per ideal pound of body weight, which if you use metric, that means about 2 grams of protein per ideal kilogram of body weight. And when I say ideal, well, if you're 200 pounds, for example, and you'd like to drop some excess weight, let's assume that 150 pounds is your ideal target because it makes the math simple, and I'm a fan of nice, easy math. So let's assume that your ideal weight then is 150 pounds. That means that you're going to go for about 150 grams of protein each and every day in your diet. And you would want to divide this equally between your ideally 3 meals that you're eating each day. So you're not going to try to get 80 grams in at one meal and just have a little bit at the other meals. You want this nice and evenly distributed throughout your day. So like I said, going for about 50 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you have a couple of snacks in your day, then you would eat a little bit less protein at your main meals, and you would have that difference in protein during your snacks. But really, I call this protein-focused eating or protein-focused diet. So you want to build your diet around getting a foundation of adequate, healthy sources of protein, and then you're going to include all of the other healthy foods around that. Now, if you track your dietary intake, or if you decide to because you don't know how much protein you're getting, well, it's a pretty safe bet in my experience that you're probably not getting anywhere near that amount. In fact, most of the people that I work with, when they start looking at how much protein they're getting, they realize they're not getting nearly enough. So there's a few different ways that you can track your protein intake to determine how much you're getting and then adjust as needed. Now, the simplest version that I tend to go for is using a simple digital kitchen scale. I got mine online for about maybe $20, and I simply weigh the food. When I was learning how to do this, I'd weigh the food on the scale right before I ate it, so when it was already prepared, and then I'd quickly look up how many grams of protein were in that particular piece of So if it was a piece of chicken or a piece of beef or a piece of fish or a piece of tempeh or whatever it was that I was having, I would quickly reference online and look up how many grams of protein were in that particular food item. In fact, I actually made myself a little cheat sheet that I kept on my phone. I also printed out a copy of it and I kept it on my fridge and one in my purse. So I will include that little cheat sheet that might help you if you're like me and you like low-tech ways to track your protein. And then I just jotted it down in the notes section of my phone. You can do this in a journal or whatever works for you, and just start tracking and seeing how much protein you're getting and what meals you're getting protein in and what meals maybe could use some extra protein. And once you have that idea, then you can determine how much more you want to eat. Now, I didn't mention apps. You can always use an app. Lots of people like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer to determine, their protein intake. You can track all kinds of things, your calories, your macros, all of that stuff. I'm not a big fan of tracking in general, and I'm not a big fan I don't tend to support calorie counting, although I know it works well for some people. But if you want to use that in the short term to determine how many grams of protein you're getting each day and at which meals, it can be a very helpful tool if you don't mind doing the data input before you eat each meal. Now, if you don't want to do either of those options, there's another really simple way to help you figure out how much protein you're getting. So if you look at a standard deck of playing cards like this one, just a basic regular deck of playing cards. Well, if you look at dietary recommendations for protein, they usually say this equals 1 serving. Now, most protein sources that are this size will contain about 20 to 30 grams of protein in this size. So if you're going for, let's say, that 150 grams in a day, which would equal about 50 grams per meal, if this is somewhere between 20 to 30 grams of protein, serving this size equals that, then you probably want to double that size per meal. And that allows you to just simply eyeball your portion size and determine if you're getting enough. And so that can be a super simple way to figure this out for yourself if you don't like any of the other options. So now that you know how much protein to go for and you have an idea about how to figure out how much protein you're getting in different foods, try incorporating some simple swaps in your eating to see how that impacts your protein intake. So for breakfast, for example, instead of grabbing a slice of toast or some cereal or a granola bar or a small yogurt or something like that, which a lot of people tend to go for, switch that out and have some Greek yogurt, which is super high in protein. If you want an extra boost, you can always add some protein powder to that. And then you can simply add some berries or fruit on top, maybe some different nuts, and you have a little quick, easy to make protein powered yogurt parfait. When it comes to grabbing a quick snack, get rid of that granola bar, get rid of that sugary whatever, and replace it with a high protein snack. A hard-boiled egg, some low-sugar beef jerky are great options. There's even some healthier low-sugar protein bars out there, but you have to really read your ingredients before you go for that. But just look at figuring out some healthy swaps that will help you incorporate more protein into your diet without having to do anything that's too elaborate or complicated. So remember to spread that protein out throughout the day. Look at how much protein you're getting in your day and look for some healthy swaps to make this easier. In tomorrow's video, we're going to look more at understanding the different sources of protein and help you figure out which ones will be best for you. I'll see you then.